everyone. I'm Daryl.
Hi, I'm Faith, Imani Hicks, Imani Hicks, the creator.
And this is A Little for the World. Thank you for joining me.
Of
I'm very
course.
grateful to have you here. You're someone that your practice resonates with me a lot. And just like the stories that you tell me, the things that I've heard from you about like your personal life and your upbringing, and just a lot of the things that we talk about one-on-one. So I feel like this is very necessary. Um, and we did this last year, and we have decided not to release it because it's such a different time now. And thank you for doing this with me again. Like, I really, really appreciate it. And this is going to be a moment for us to just like let everything go, let it out, express ourselves the way we need to as Black people, as Black creators. Just be expressive, something that we are not taught to do. That's what we're here to do, is be self-expressive.
Yeah. And I just want to acknowledge too, like every time I do talk to you, it's not necessarily on like a social platform, it's like one-on-one. And that's when we really have an opportunity to kind of talk about like our creative process, talk about us being Black creatives and how that plays a part in our writing. So I think to kind of come on here and talk about it is amazing. And I'm just interested to see like where the conversation goes, and also to see like who else can kind of identify like similar themes that we both resonate with, because we have a lot of like similarities, we have a lot of things that we can kind of connect with, but I think it's a whole different experience knowing that these themes resonate with other people. So I'm happy to be here, honestly.
I agree 100%. And like, that's the whole point of this, I feel like, because I know a lot of people can relate to a lot of the things we're going to talk about. Um, First, I want to talk to you about just how you've been in general, like after the pandemic is still happening, but like after restrictions and just like things seeming like in a way normal, like have you been struggling to like find your way again, or find a way of living that suits you now?
I think for me, the hardest thing since like things have started to kind of be lifted, like the mandate, and people are coming outside more, is just finding a balance between like staying in and going out, trying to be safe, but also like with work. I work at Blueprint Geneva, which is a food security nonprofit. We have community gardens and things like that, and my job is to like help build capacity. However, I think that like that work, it's for the community and things like that, but it does take me away from like my creative work. Um, and it sometimes makes me forget that like I I am for my community, I'm within my community, but I am also my in my own body. So like that again, like these are the moments where like that mind, body, spirit connection, I think, is unified. Like when I have conversations like this. Um, and I more things like this is just what I need to kind of help support me in my creative process, in my writing. I have been writing, but it's drastically changed since the pandemic. And I feel like in like when we were more in quarantine, I was writing more. I was connecting with my community more, my writing community, my creative community more. And now I just think a lot about work. Um, but also too, I recently got out of a relationship. So like when I'm speaking of that balance, throw that in there, throw heartbreak in there. And it's kind of like, well, dang, like this dilemma of like me feeling as though I came so far and I'm at this point where I can celebrate myself and I'm happy. Um, but things come up, and I don't want to say go back, but a sense of a regression of dealing with things that maybe I haven't completely healed from. That those are things that are coming up for me. Um, But those things are important to deal with so that I can move forward and also just evolve like as a writer. Cause like now I'm writing about a lot of different things. I'm writing to like my future son, my future daughter. I'm writing to like the future that I want. So I think I'm a very optimistic person, I think I could say. Like, I think that's also why I look forward to the future because it helps me to not like dwell in my past. Um, but again, that's why I think balance for me in these times is just important.
Hell yes. Like it gets hard. Like it really gets hard. And I feel like sometimes it's hard to give myself credit for how hard I'm going to like maintain that peace that I've developed for myself, but it really gets hard. And having each other is where it gets so much easier. Like just having friends who are also trying to keep themselves together, like, but even more than just keep themselves together, who are trying to find this like sanctuary within themselves and not just in the places that they're in and with other people, but like people who get it, you know? So like you said, when we have conversations, it just feels healing to me. It feels like, damn, I really needed this. And sometimes I didn't even know that I needed this. Like just knowing that there's someone out there somewhere who feels you and knows you. Cause someone like, I feel like sometimes it gets easy to like feel like it's just me. And sometimes I feel overwhelming feelings and I'm like, damn, I'm really an outsider, but like that's just not the case. Like, and I guess just having that, you know, we it's so easy to feel that way. Like there's been times where I felt like I broke through that feeling and I always knew, oh yeah, there's other people that are experiencing this too, and I could just pick up the phone. But sometimes it really gets to the point where like I forget. So like doing this and recording a little for the world helps so much with that. Like I feel grounded again. Like it's so necessary. And as far as like getting out there again, like, you know, after like the mandate and all that, and just like things being, I live in New York City, so like it's fast here. So like I'm having to remind myself that I'm not supposed to be moving at the pace of the city. I'm supposed to be moving at my own. And it gets very difficult because when I go outside, sometimes I'm like, damn, there's so many people. I get anxious again and I find myself doing things that I would normally have done before the pandemic and like before a lot of the changes I made in my life took place. Like I've been finding myself doing things that don't really fit who I am anymore. Like things that kind of fit someone with a low self-worth. And it could be the simplest things. Like for example, I'm in public alone and like I'm pretending to use my phone just because I can't look up and see people because I feel really anxious. You know, like things like that. When I felt like I broke that habit and I was like just socializing with people, learning to be myself more. But now I feel like my voice getting quieter. We spoke about this. I feel like my voice is getting quieter and I'm learning how to like speak up again and like not hide anymore. And I find myself not wanting to dress a certain way when I go certain places where I know there will be certain people. Like it's just ridiculous. Like I feel like I'm being that person I used to be again, but like that's not who I am anymore. So now I'm fighting to like really bring myself out of here and into the world. Like that's where I am right now. And I'm fighting with like getting through my frustrations and taking a lot of things personal right now. And I'm trying to like just make sure I don't project onto other people and prioritize my mental health. It's making me stronger is like learning how to treat myself in these times. Cause like these times, like I don't know if they will ever really fully go away, like feeling like these internal battles, but I think what sets me apart from who I used to be is the way that I treat myself now and the way that I go about it to help myself. I feel like it's so easy to think that I'm going back and that I'm who I once was because I'm feeling a familiar emotion or something difficult or like something I have to has to do with like relatives or family, like this resentment that I thought I healed from. I think what really sets me apart from who I once was is how I'm dealing with it now and the way that I'm taking care of myself.
I think of balance as being grounded, okay? Like what is something that is going to keep you grounded so that you can show up and show up as your best self, you know? Um, and like how I talked about, talking to you is what's keeping me grounded. It's actually what's going to keep, it's something that's going to motivate me to finish my capstone because I feel good about the conversation that we're having. um so I think balance is unattainable in a sense because it kind of screams perfection. Like it kind of has this like equal, okay, you have to have like things on an equal like playing field, which is just, it's not attainable. Like you're right, it's not attainable. But what is attainable is feeling grounded in things that are gonna fulfill you physically, um, emotionally, and above all spiritually. You know, like, and I want you to answer this question too. Like, and I'm gonna answer it of what is something that has kept you grounded, like as you're getting into like, you know, out of quarantine and since the last time we did a little for the world, like and since we had that conversation. And I can say for me, I I'm living alone now. So just having time and space to myself, I think a lot more and I journal a lot more. Um, my connection with God has gotten stronger. I talk to my mom in the mornings and we pray. Come on now, come through. Hold up. Cause I don't think you hear me when I say that, okay? Like that has changed me tremendously, like as a woman. Um, but also like understanding that like I am here for a purpose. Like I'm not living an unintentional life. I'm here because I'm an educator. I'm here because I'm a writer. And knowing that, that keeps me grounded because I know, and I'm saying that because I know what it was like to not understand why I'm here, you know, and how that sense of unbalance or not being grounded, honestly, not being grounded and having a sense of self, a sense of purpose, how it led me to like these destructive lifestyle and destructive habits, giving my body to people that didn't deserve it. Um, the words that I spoke to people or the words that I allowed people to speak to me, um, the worlds that I created with the word with my words. So like, um, I'm just saying all that to say like me being in this moment right here and right now is just so tremendous because, and I'm not trying to like make it all spectacular and lovey-dovey because it's not all like that. It's actually pretty ugly. It's actually pretty ugly. Healing is ugly. I'm not trying to glorify it, but I think that just because I am a, like someone who looks to the light, even in my darkest moments, that's really what helps me to keep me grounded. Um, so what keeps you grounded?
Okay, before I even answer your question, I have a lot to say because honestly, when you were saying that, I was getting emotional because when you mentioned that like you were once someone who felt like you had no purpose or like you were living an unintentional life, that hit home because like I feel like that, and I wrote about this recently for the exhibition I'm participating in that I told you about. Um, I realized that, and I'm not trying to say that it was necessary for me to go under, like experience the things that I have internally. But I think that if I didn't, I wouldn't know as much the importance of living an intentional life as I do now. Like knowing what life is like when you're not is enough for me to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do for myself. Even though some days it gets hard, some days I do procrastinate, I'm working on that. but it's enough for me to keep working on that, you know? Like I'm also learning how to work on that, but not beat myself up when I'm not exceeding my own expectations sometimes. Because sometimes I do disappoint myself in that way. But as long as I'm taking care of myself, I can't really disappoint myself in a way, you know? But like you said, just knowing that we're living intentional lives is so important. And damn, like sometimes it's so hard to like not give myself, I mean, to give myself credit. Like I feel like I have not been giving myself enough credit lately. And sometimes I feel like just because there's like a dark time, my effort doesn't matter. But like if I really thought that, I wouldn't be putting in what I'm putting in right now. So like something in me knows that this is all for a greater good. I just have to keep on. Like even those days where I feel like things are for nothing, I just have to keep on. Because what's gonna happen is one day you're gonna look up, or I'm gonna look up, and there's gonna be something, and we're gonna be surprised. But in reality, we summoned it ourselves. Wow. But what keeps me grounded, I would definitely say talking to you, talking to creative friends who have the same mindset of like wanting to actually putting in work to change and holding ourselves accountable before we like worry about what other people are doing. Um, I think also writing, 100% writing, giving myself a place to amplify my own voice. Writing is so important because ever since childhood, I had a hard time with speaking up. And like my family and everybody surrounding me were always the loud people. And I was that one quiet person in the bunch. And I feel like then that carried with like friendship dynamics and everything. And I was always that one quiet person in the bunch, that one quiet person. And then when I would get upset about something, I would keep it in and turn Edward. And then suddenly I'm like pulling away from somebody or being passive aggressive, you know? So like learning that my voice and my feelings are valid, like I had to teach myself that through my writing and like not censor myself and just say what I need to say. So that way, like I know that it matters, because sometimes expressing how I feel to other people, sometimes I worry too much about that other person's reaction or what they may feel rather than expressing myself authentically. So writing helps a lot. Like writing has been grounding me. It's given me a place to like examine myself as a character in a story and just take myself out of it for a moment and like have like a bird's eye view of what's going on from down below and see myself throughout the day and like the way that I'm really taking care of myself even when it gets hard. Like recently I wrote something. It was an exercise that I did and I had to write about myself like from the perspective of someone watching me. And I wrote about how like I noticed myself as like this person walking around the city exploring, letting myself see things I've never seen, you know, not wasting my time in a place that I already know so well, aka home, you know, like getting out there experiencing life even when I feel intimidated by the world that I've always felt small compared to, like just not letting it keep me inside. I mentioned a little for the world, of course, and just how important it is, like how grounding it is. This grounds me. Why didn't I say that? That's crazy. This is very grounding for me. That ties into talking to friends though. This really, really grounds me in a way that honestly I don't think anything besides my writing has ever. Also, dancing and singing grounds me very much. Singing is also a way for me to get loud because again, I'm not loud. So like that is my moment to get loud. Cause sometimes I find myself whispering at home and I'm like, why am I whispering? Like, why do I believe subconsciously that I'm not supposed to be heard? So like singing and getting loud, like that is my chance to feel here and just like belt songs. That is my chance to feel human. And dancing, like I've been renting a dance studio recently to just go and dance, and that has been very grounding for me as well. And just letting myself go. I'm learning how to get out of my head and into my body and use my voice, and those things really help a lot. Oh, and also walking. I take walks a lot and just walking in like my favorite places, or walking in a place with no destination and not like running around crazy and just taking my time to like breathe and pay attention to what's around me. That's very grounding for me.
You asked the question. You said, why why do I feel like I have to be quiet, I believe? You know, and it reminds me of like the story that I told you about, like growing up. Like sometimes we're conditioned to project these behaviors of like being submissive or being dominant or whatever the case may be. And I talked to you about, like, in regards to my femininity, of how growing up, I was so free. I ran around naked. I took my clothes off, and it was just a thing until, like, my mom, I was getting older, and my mom said, like, Faith, you can't do that anymore. Like, you're a girl. Like, you have to be a lady, And so, like, that conditioned me to feel as though a lady has to act a certain way, has to present herself a certain way. Um, and I also grew up very quiet, very much so in my shell. And it makes me think of a lot of other creatives, authors who grew up in the same way, of maybe having a family or just a big influence to dim their light, or maybe just make their voice less, make their voice quiet. Maya Angelou, for example, talked about when she was younger being raped, and she talked about, she used her mouth, she used her words to say what happened to her. And the man who abused her was killed to death. She said she felt like the power of her words killed him. So she went through a period of time where she was quiet, and it just makes me think of, like, instances where that we go through, that we lose our power. uh, it could be our voice, but it could also just be our confidence, because what does that mean for a young girl like Maya Angelou to believe that what she said killed a man? What does that do to her confidence? And even in my life, I had to understand and grow out of this layer of being submissive. I think growing up, being submissive was, I equated that to being ladylike. So, like, even like when I got to college, I felt like when men would kind of dominate over me, that I had to be more submissive. And so that really led me to just being a lot of unintentional, like what I was saying, unintentional dynamics with people, because I didn't have that confidence in myself to understand that I can just be me. I can just be me, even though I grew up a certain way, and I felt like maybe I didn't have a voice, or if I did have a voice, it was in this limitation of projecting how other people should see me. Right. And so, like, what does this do on my journey as a writer, to be in this position now and understand this, of that is how I was, but it's also something that I'm still dealing with, because those things don't just go away. Like, I'm still her, she's still me, she's still in this body. It's interesting because I joined, it was like a workshop of writers, and it was like finding your purpose as a writer. And so she said, just write about why you're a writer, how you write. And I would love to share, if that's okay. So the first prompt was, I write because. Um, and so part of this workshop was honing in on your voice, your intentionality, and your perspective. So this was my take on it. I write because when I was younger, I was timid and struggled bringing words to action. I write because writing words and letters are my best friend. I write because the pen to the pad has an intimate relationship with my inner worlds. What brings me to the page is the beauty of creation, and the inner mystery of death and resurrection. I came to the page today to give a big fuck you to everyone who made me feel, no, made me believe that the timbre of my voice, the reason in my understanding deems me as less than. No. I came to the page today for me to give birth to the ideas that I daydream about, to give birth to action, to dare dream about where my pen and pad can take me. I came to the page today for that beautiful, shy little girl within me that is resurrecting herself from ashes and looking to me to right my past wrongs. I am here at, I'm here on this page today to announce, to pronounce the declaration of my journey as a writer. Writing to heal, writing for health, writing to better understand my sexuality, femininity, passion, creativity. I am choosing to come to the page, not only for my past, but also for my present. May I remember to write about the current state of my being. I'm choosing to come to the page, not only for my past and present, but also for my future. To my son, I love you and wish you a clear understanding of the ways of the world, God's love, purity, innocence, and commitment. To my bank account, you don't define me, but thank you for blessing me. And that's all the time that I had. I was about to go in. I did go in. Don't cat. I did go in, but the time was up, and so it just had a lot to do with what I was saying. So I just wanted to.
You definitely went in, and I'm not gonna lie, like that really touched me. Like that. Thank you for sharing that. That was probably not even probably. I feel like that was one of the best things I've ever heard. To be very honest with you, because like, damn, like that is just I don't know. I feel like every time I hear you writing, I just feel like we connect in more ways than I realize.
I believe like me writing about my current state of being is like I can't talk about my state of being now without it being understanding of like where I once was, if that makes sense. Like it's hard to like acknowledge your present and that not be a reiteration of your past. You know, and that's what I'm learning too of like when you talk about your current state of being, you're acknowledging everything that you went through and and yeah, just the beauty of it, you know, taking a step back and like just being present and in the moment. That's where I was able to kind of reclaim this sense of power of like, no, I could talk about where I'm at now. I'm in a better state. You know, why not talk about that? Why not that be something we build upon? And even in the workshop, like there was one specific writer that said she writes because she wants to see and feel more Black joy in writing. She wants to approach reading and hear what radical Black joy feels like and looks like, you know, and once someone commented and said, that's true. And the beauty of that is you can't talk about radical Black joy without there being an understanding of all the things that have been systemically projected to kind of impede upon that, impede upon those emotions, you know, because and it's just the beauty of this like synchronicity. I feel like I don't know, but thank you for the compliments. It I was so ready to like write because it was a long time since I have written, and it was also just a space where I was able to acknowledge like, wow, I'm a writer. Like like I it's part of my life purpose to write. It's it's why I'm here. You know, it made me so emotional because I've been knowing it. I just haven't been acknowledging it, a lot having to do with society, me feeling like I have to be more than, but I'm enough. Like that's what I knew. Like when I was listening to other writers and we were sharing and we had this just like this connection of similar experiences. It's like, wow, I can be a writer and still deal with the things that come with it of procrastination, of writer's block. Like these things happen because I'm a writer. It happens because that's just the process. It's again like how I was saying, it's not all beautiful, it's not all pretty, it's actually pretty ugly. That's how we get the beautiful. That's how we get to a place where I can say these beautiful words to you. So I'm just so happy to be here and share. Like, thank you for like having this platform because
This makes me very happy. And also, I want to thank you for mentioning why it's important to acknowledge the difficult emotions that we have once experienced because of certain things, and also things that we feel now, because it just makes the joyous and like just it makes the joyfulness and like our reflecting on how far we come so much more beautiful. When I've recorded a little for the worlds with Rosemary, she mentioned that because I painted something and I showed it to her, and it was a painting of colors, and it like I like to paint with colors and like use them as like ways to express myself emotionally, and I'll assign certain colors to certain emotions at the time. Um, but basically, she told me to cover one part of it, and she said, "Now it's just pink. That's no way to live." And then she said, "Now cover the pink. Now it's just purple and blue." She said, "But remove your hands. That is life." That whole thing. And it was just representing like me being born into this world and coming into the world with information. And then being this person who was so creative and dancing around and singing all the time and wanting to be a pop star, and always begging my mom to give me a microphone, and being dancing with the cheetah girls and just being who I am, and like somehow getting to a place where I was dressing like something that I wasn't, like just being so many things that like if you saw photos of me you would be shocked, like just trying to be the opposite of who I am, and then coming like all to just end up back as me. Like like it just simple, it just, but also I painted that section of like all the hard things that I've experienced within the past few years, like it spilled into like now, but like as a source of inspiration, to the point where like if it wasn't for that time I wouldn't know what I know now, and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation now, and whoever's watching this, and it may help them in a way or resonate with them, it would not have happened, so like thank you for bringing that up, because I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of like, I don't know, just positivity is beautiful, but I feel like sometimes people use positivity in a way that is not effective. And like, it's very necessary to acknowledge where we've been, to acknowledge where we are now. But I also love that you said it's important to like just take a moment to acknowledge where we are now, because like there's something you mentioned earlier about how one time you felt really happy, and then you found yourself going through your healing process, getting out of a relationship, and like learning to love on yourself on your own in ways that you needed from you, right? Like you mentioned that some days it feels like you are on this mountain and you have come so far, but then some days it's like, damn, have I really? Like, I think a good way to like think about it is like you felt all these things in this one body. So like that person who you felt like then is not gone. It's just, I don't know, we're so human. Like that's just what it comes down to. We're just so human. Um, but yeah, I thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. Like damn, like I really love that a lot. And it just made me feel emotional. Like I am very grateful to hear that. I don't know what else to say because like
no, I'm
I'm
well,
lost for words. Oh my God.
I would encourage you to do that prompt. I write because after it's gonna be the most empowering, and it's simple. It's a simple prompt. It's a simple prompt, but once I kept saying, put pen to pad, pen to pad, pen to pad.
Yes.
That's like my magic. That's when like that I'm telling you, I've constructed worlds with just pen and pad.
It's so important to physically write. Like that's so important.
I have a very intimate relationship with it because growing up, my mom, like, she took me to the library. Like, I was like that kid that like loved books. I didn't know how to read, but I had a book in my hand because I was like, my mom's here at the library. At that time, she was I believe we had just moved from Oklahoma City to California. I was like probably what, like 4 or 5, real young. And she was trying to pass her driving test. So she knew that by taking us to the library, she would have quiet time and was able to study. But what that meant for me was going into this world of, wow, like there's so much in this library I don't know. I didn't know how to read at the time. But what I did know is that these words can take me somewhere. So I would just write. I mean, I would just write my letters. At that time, she was teaching me how to write my letters and things like that. And then all of a sudden, things start to click. Things start to click. And she would be like, read this. I'm like, and I would like, chop it up, sound it out. And ever since then, I'm telling you, like my love for words, for articulating myself. Granted, I did talk about how it was hard to express myself. And I also want to acknowledge that deep down in me, I always knew how. I just, it was a lot of things that blocked me. There was a lot of things that blocked me. And how sad is that? Because that's something I love to do. I love to talk and I love to write, Um, and I'm just saying that to speak upon, like, even if you're not a writer, whatever your medium is, to translate that power. If you're a dancer, um, like what does it look like for you to um like what is body movement, like what is that intimate relationship like for you? How do you operate in the world? Or singers, um what is the intimate relationship with rises and falls and like fluxes in the way that you enunciate certain words, and similar to even poets and speakers and things like that. So yeah, for anyone who's writing this, I'm definitely calling y'all as an educator, as a future educator. We out here. Also want to put that in. I will be going to Dallas to get my master's of education for secondary literacy. So that's just another aspect of me utilizing this power that I have and just putting it into action.
I want to talk about something that you mentioned to me once. I did mention that we recorded a little for the world together a year ago, and we decided not to use that one. You mentioned that we sometimes don't acknowledge our dreams as facts. And I really want to talk to you about that, about how like our dreams are factual. And like I told you, I learned from a friend who said that she believes that we come here with information when we're born. I didn't really consider that until watching our episode back, and I thought about it. And like I just told you, who I was as a child, that never went away. Like my dreams, my real dreams never went away. And like now I find myself working toward that, the things that I really want, because the things that people wanted me to want never felt right. Like I felt like I was squeezing into something that just wasn't for me all these years. And to the point where I just shied away completely because I was like, then there's nothing for me. But in reality, the thing that is for me that I came here with, I was hiding from, you know?
In that moment, I was actually talking about like when we sleep, like those dreams, like acknowledging those dreams as facts. However, it's very similar to this idea of even daydreams, things that ideas that we have that our aspirations, things that we're hoping for. You know, dreams are just a way of our subconscious acknowledging things that maybe we're repressing or not acknowledging. So it's similar still that those are facts because they're telling us about ourselves. So, you know, we have to do a lot of decoding and things like that. So it does make it harder, but in the way that you're talking about it, our dreams, the things that we aspire to be, are also factual, I believe. A lot of the things that I've accomplished, I dreamt about first. It was a dream, it was an idea. And then there was like steps that I had to do to execute it so that it could kind of come into fruition. It has a lot to do with manifestation, but it also has a lot to do with acknowledging that emotion of like, well, no, like I feel this way. And even though it may seem impossible in this moment, or it feels as though like people wouldn't expect me to dream in this way, I'm gonna continue to dream because that's why I'm here right now. And even like how you were like, I think you brought up something about like when you were younger you had dreams and maybe you shied away from that path because of the ways in which you grew up, influences, things like that that can come into our lives to take us off that path. But it's still there, like it's still there because it's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. Like I grew up wanting to be an actress, okay? And I can say today, like, maybe I don't want to necessarily be an actress, but the way I project and I behave in this world is it gives, like, you know, it gives the people personality. It gives the people personality, it gives the people what they need. So in a way, sometimes I really do feel like I am living out my dream. Even like as an educator, like in the classroom taking this like authoritative role, like I think being in costume, like I feel like I have this whole idea of like every day as a teacher wearing like white t-shirt and jeans, like, you know, just in a sense of like playing the part, playing, you know, playing the part. So like I come back to these themes of dreams that I had, and I'm living them out in a different way, yes, but it's still quite similar to the visions that I had when I was younger of wanting to be an actress. Um, so yeah, like I think, and it's interesting, like how I said, I meant it differently, but it still is the same of like how, like in the ways in which you thought I meant it, it still applies.
Yes, I want to read something to you now that I think about it, and it ties into like dreams being so stubborn and never letting go of us. I want to read two things to you actually. I wrote this recently. A friend and I, we went to this cafe together and we decided to write for 15 minutes because we were both feeling a bit heavy. And this ties into what I was telling you in the beginning of recording, about like the weight of the world and just how fast paced it is. And just me getting into a place where I'm starting to like low key, like sometimes catch myself blaming my surroundings for how I'm feeling, and sometimes forgetting that it's so simple as to, yes, those things really do affect me, but sometimes it's just as simple as taking a moment for myself, you know, and not just running around all the time to get things done, you know. So I'm going to read two things. I'm going to start with this one. Covered in despair and what's left here after something so unusual, Whenever I mention that unusual thing, I mean like quarantine. Covered in despair, and what's left here after something so unusual, what's left here is familiarity, a sense of familiarity that frightens me, reminding me of how unsure and hot my inner conflicts have been before the unusual happening. I can't look up, it seems. I feel like a flower tangled into weeds, trying not to die, doing its best to just not die no matter what. Inside, an inner conflict again, one that does not seem to settle when my focus is on something, and it takes time to focus now. It isn't so quiet anymore, and these tangled weeds feel much stronger and much more inconsiderate. My voice is low again, and I seem to have become again a place that is unsure of itself, and the weather seems to be the same each day now. If I don't remain fast paced, then what? Despair will latch onto me, grabbing onto me, mixing in with me, like a flower stuck in tangled weeds, trying not to die. All right, so there I mentioned how stubborn the weeds are and the difficult emotions that I've been having. And, just trying my best not to lose myself and just trying not to die, basically. Um, And then I kind of had a change of perspective one night. And someone brought to my attention that, like, just like the weeds that I feel tangled in, my dreams are just as stubborn and they never left me. After all this time and like the whole decade of neglecting myself, somehow I was able to find my way back home. So I put pen to paper and I said, just as stubborn as these tangled weeds are my dreams and my determination to stay alive under any circumstance. I must stay alive. Just as strong as these tangled weeds is my inner knowing that there is no good reason to give in. These tangled weeds are over and around me, but I've learned that panic tangles me tangles me in much more, and it becomes more dangerous. I've become breathless, so I reach for what is near and dear, what always untangles me. Soon I have inched forward enough to run free, untangled and untamed. I'll keep on for now.
I listened for themes. And one theme that I identified within that piece was time. It's kind of like a push and pull between time of of yes, acknowledging where you're at, but also like kind of what we talked about, honestly, acknowledging where you're at, but there's always constantly things that are going to come up to impact, maybe from your past, but just period, things that are going to come up and impact your current state of being.
I'm in a place now where I'm actually taking the steps to untie myself from the fears that have held me back. And also, even when I feel heavy with fear, I'm still moving forward with what I know scares me, but I know that I need it because I know that one day these dreams are going to be visible and like I'm going to be able to actually feel them physically and I'll be in it.
I just want to speak to what you said about like you don't like we don't need to know 1 million people, 100 people to acknowledge our current state of being, but also just acknowledge our dreams. And I think social media plays a big part in that, of like there being so many different talented people on that platform, Instagram, any type of social media platform showcasing their talents. Um some people, they blow up from it. Even if I have one supporter, that's enough. And even if that one supporter is myself, that's enough. That's enough for me to create a showcase and tell people to come in and perform my work. But also, it's enough to still be able to share my work on social media if that's something that I feel compelled to do. Um, yeah.
It's so funny you mentioned that because I was going to bring that up next. I wanted us to talk about social media and how it plays a part in like our self-worth as artists and like what it means for us to like pull back and give ourselves what we need. So first, I want to talk about like prioritizing ourselves as writers, was artists, but as writers specifically, and like what we need to give ourselves, like just taking a moment, because that stuff is it's just tricky sometimes. Like I find myself easily getting wrapped up if I let myself get wrapped up into it, but like I can't be that person, you know, like you said, like it's I find myself worrying about the like the responses and how many and how this and how that, but like in reality what I found myself forgetting for a short period of time was that it's not really about the quantity of the people, it's the quality of the people. So I can say I'm proud to have someone like you in my corner. You know, there's other people who I'm very proud to have in my corner, you know, because these people are authentic and everything that you guys write and everything that you create is coming from you. And I see a lot of things on social media that I just don't agree with. And it's like, well, Daro, is this really who you want supporting you? Like these people don't, they're not doing what you're doing. They're not even being authentic. You know, they're doing something that they know is going to grab people's attention, but they're not doing things from their core. So you need to be careful with like wanting validation. You know, like I'm having these conversations with myself now. I'm very grateful for social media because it brought me people like you know what I mean? And I use it as a platform. And for this, like I'm very grateful for social media. Like that's one of the ways that I connect with people like me. But like I have to be more careful with wanting validation from people who are not doing the kind of creative work that I'm doing in terms of authenticity and things coming from the heart versus doing things that they know is going to grab people's attention easily. Like I'm willing for it to take time for me because then I know that it's real. And it's easy to forget that for me sometimes, not gonna lie. But I think that as long as I just keep on, we just keep on like getting back on track with every not back, it's okay. Media's influence. How do you pull back? When do you know that you need to pull back from social media? And like, what do you do for yourself when?
I know I need to pull back from social media when like when I wake up, that's the first thing I'm thinking about of getting on my phone and like looking on Instagram, checking the tea, what's the latest because that just shows me that I'm not grounded.
Same as far as waking up and rolling over, instead of reaching for my morning pages notebook, reaching for my phone and wanting to scroll on social media, that's when I know. Like as you said that, I just deleted the app because I was like, yeah, I definitely have been doing that. I need to delete this shit right now. So I just deleted the app as you were saying that because I just need some time. And I know I do, you know. I knew I needed it. Um, but like, yeah, social media's influence. I think that it's it's up to us, you know, like you have every right to decide whether you want to share your writing on there or not. Like that is up to you, you know what I mean? Like it's up to us, we have those rights, and we don't need to give social media power because we are the artists. That thing is thriving because of people like us, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, yeah, like sometimes I feel gutted because I didn't get enough recognition, or like before I started really taking myself serious as a writer and really like giving myself like actually writing, like writing becoming a lifestyle for me, like you said, rather than something that I do for recognition. Like when I was a teenager, I would post my writing on like my Instagram story on my main account, and like I would delete it if it didn't get enough recognition within like an hour, you know. And like it just, that just goes to show the life that I was living. Like writing is not for that, you know. For me, writing is for me, but also for people like you and people who resonate, you know, people who need it. Like it's something to help all of us. It's a way of playing and being on this earth. Like it's a way of living. But also, yes, I have bigger dreams as far as like reaching an audience and like being successful as a writer and all these things, but like I'm not willing to compromise my humility for that, you know. And I don't think that I have to. I believe that it's possible, um you know, and I believe that I can do it while staying true to myself, you know. And I think that it's great that you are prioritizing you, and I would love to see more of your writing on social media in the future, but I think that it's clear that you need to deal with some emotions as far as that before
Yeah,
you
and
even think about doing that, you know.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge too, like, I don't think I'm never gonna showcase my work. It's just I have a lot of things that I need to deal with. And like, I just know that now, if I was to showcase my work on social media, it would just be ingenuine. Like, it wouldn't be genuine. It would be, and I feel like people would see that and feel that. They would kind of be like cringe, like it would be cringy, you know? So it has a lot to do with honing in on my voice and confidence and being confident with like just this idea of I said what I said, and that's just what it is. I'm putting this here because this is my page, and maybe I'm hoping to spark something within someone. For you to showcase your work and continue with it, I salute you, because I know that's not an easy thing to do. Like, I know in the same way that I said, like, I feel like my work is sacred, I know that it's sacred to you too, you know? And I know that because the conversations that we had, like, you putting that out into the world and maybe receiving the attention that I want, or on the other end, when it doesn't receive like the acknowledgement and the support, you know, the fact that you don't let it dim your light, the fact that you continue to put stuff together, I'm always like, yo, Daryl is that one. Don't play with him. Like, I just, you inspire me. You inspire me to keep writing. Like, I remember, when we were setting these things up and I told you keep writing. The reason why I said keep writing was because that's what I think of. That's what I think of when I think of you. I think of you telling me to keep writing, keep pushing, you know. So I just wanted to express that because you're someone I look up to for inspiration of like when I am ready to get out there, you know, it just gives me a framework, a world in which I can operate, where to see that there are people like me on social media that are genuine, you know, even though it is, fuck social media and this and this and that, there are people like us. There are communities like us, and in that same way, I understand the importance to have my voice on social media because I know the power of it, and I know that it can impact people, and I have gotten like messages and feedback. Wow, like thank you for sharing this and this and that. So um the work that you're doing is of an amazing value, and you inspire people. You inspire me. I am who I am because of people like you. Like you kind of mold me in a way of like my everyday habits of writing, of reimagining worlds, of pushing boundaries and limits, of saying fuck something, but also understanding the power that you have in spaces. Okay, because we still hold power, like how you said, like the reason why Instagram pops is because of people like us who continue to push pen to pad and create and put content out there, so yeah, just thank you.
Let's do a little exercise. It's not going to be writing. We are going to do a writing exercise at the end that was inspired by you. But I want you to ask yourself, and I'm going to do the same. I want you to ask yourself, what do I need? And just take like a few seconds and just hear yourself and say what comes straight to mind. No censor. Don't be afraid.
I need the vision. I need the vision to understand how to move forward. Um, I need the vision to get out of darkness. Like, I need a vision. I need to see things through. I need vision for reassurance and clarity. Um, I need Understanding. I need understanding. Um, I need support. I need support because I give it out a lot. I give it out a lot because that's what people deserve. I feel like I operate in a world where if someone's in my circle, I want to pour everything into them to make them the best that they can be. And so I need people like me. Um, I need, yeah, yeah.
Thank you for that honest answer. To answer that same question, I need to walk more. I need to walk a lot like I normally would have. Um, it helps me with perspective, especially when I feel like I can't breathe that much in my home environment. Walking helps a lot, seeing different things, seeing trees, seeing the weather changes and people, it helps with my perspective. So I need to walk more. I need to favor my creativity over social media. I need to reach for the pen and the notebook before my phone in the morning. I need to talk to people, look at people in their eyes when I talk to them and stop being quiet and hiding away and not ignore, I mean avoid people so much now. Um I need to keep dancing. I need to keep on singing. I need to keep on doing it as a way to let out all the stuff that I've been keeping in for so long. I need to make sure that I'm supporting myself as much as I expect the people around me to. I need to make sure that I'm pouring into myself so that way I don't go looking for it in places that I don't need it. I need to write a lot. Just keep writing.
And I also just want to add, I need more spaces like this. It lets me know that I need more people like you around me so that I don't go back into what I just came out of. Um, but it also, I need more people like you because it encourages me to keep writing. It encourages me to wake up. Like honestly, like when I think of you, it's something that makes me want to get up and I'm not gonna cry, but I'm just saying, speaking to the fact of the power that you have and you hold, like it's like a mirror. I need more people like you. I need to know that there's more people like you know, because knowing that, that's something that's going, I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. and get going, you know, like, um, yeah. Just wanted to add that little tidbit, that little sprinkle.
I agree with that. And my heart just feels so full. Now, I wanted to write something with you. I wanted us to do a writing exercise that is actually inspired by you. Earlier, you mentioned something about like reclaiming your power and like reclaiming what you love to do. But like you said, fuck you. I don't remember why you said that, but I had this idea. I want to write something for you. I want us to the keep fuck you in mind as we write and use that. Use those two words repeatedly as much as we need to while we write this from the heart. And it could be with people in mind, things in mind that have made you feel less of yourself, things that you're just not gonna let keep you.
Um, should I let it fall off my tongue? The audacity, no, the nerve of me to think of saying any words that deviates from what makes me ladylike, less ladylike. But no, fuck that. And fuck you for placing me in a box. No, fuck them for only wanting me to say fuck when something, no, someone is in between my legs. Damn, I fucked up for fucking you, placing you in between my legs because I took your fuck you as a call to want to fuck me. Fuck you, fuck it, fuck this, fuck that. Never knew how therapeutic it could be to say it as true. As the truth, I fuck with only some of you. Those that gives no fucks and flash a winning smile that rings true. Rings true to the point of personifying a smile as a Black woman who has no care in the world and just figured out the ways of the world, all that exists. It's inside and it grew. To be that winning smile upon that face that gives no fucks and will probably slice your throat because of what she's been through. Fucking tired, fucking true, at times fucking blue. I can say this poem a million times, but just so you know, the fucks given is true. I want to say fuck you. I won't say fuck you. I won't say fuck you. I'll say this mouth is less than ladylike. And if it has to be, then fuck you too.
I really, really enjoyed that. I love hearing you not be ladylike. I love that so fucking much. It just, and like when you, like, you just sound driven. Like it just really sounds like you're taking back your power. And I love that it's clear that you are addressing many different things, many different people in this. Like it goes from, you know, being taught certain things, it goes from giving yourself to people who don't deserve it. You know, it really just shows what you're realizing now, where you're at now, and what you're realizing about yourself and what you deserve. And like that, the things that were given to you are not the real ways of life. And, you know, being a Black woman and learning that, like, it's powerful. That is so fucking powerful. Wow.
I think it's interesting too. I just want to add, like, sometimes I do find myself holding back in my writing, like, of not wanting to say like cuss words. So like I really appreciate you for pushing this, like, this piece, because like that's just a whole, that's opening up a whole new world for me that I haven't tapped into because I've just been shying away from a language that I use normally, like in my normal life, like when I'm talking.
Fuck you. You pressed your heavy hand onto my small mouth and told me not to sing or speak unless spoken to. Faggot became my name, and I wondered if you knew it was Daryl. I watched a smile spread across your big face as I screamed underneath your palm to be let go. Fuck you. You just couldn't let me be. You just couldn't let it be. You just couldn't let joy live between the same walls your joy had been stolen from you. And in turn, you tried to do the same to me. I've feared you, and even today my voice lowers and gets quiet when you call out my name or give me your unsolicited advice. Fuck you, because I am here untangling myself out of your shared weeds, all hopeful and determined. Even when you are nice, I feel skeptical, hesitant, and worried. I will not ever trust you, and I would be foolish to. How could I trust someone who encouraged me to die? I'm sorry, almost die, to hide away. Fuck you. Because when that boy danced around, you not only called him out of his name, but you called upon more Black brothers to laugh and make him a freak show. Fuck you, because my throat is still trying to get it out, to get out the words this heart authentically feels. Fuck you, because it's a process. Fuck you. Also, thank you. Thank you because I have lived long away from my mountain after believing your slurs for some time. But now I stand here familiar with the importance of being all that I am and learning how to shout. Thank you. I went under and I've come back up with more information.
Wow. You are here today to speak upon that and maybe to bring some healing upon um other Black young boys that are going through this, you know? So like thank you, because you gave me something that I'm gonna work with, and I'm gonna give to people to use as a source of healing, you know, and that's hard. That's hard, but you piece that together. So thank you. Thank you.
I just want to thank you so much for giving me your time and for being authentic and just sharing your voice, yourself, your heart, like the things that you feel and the information that you came on this earth with as you learn it more and more. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you are staying true to your relationship with yourself and with your creative process and being an educator and being who you are in so many other arenas in your life. But yeah, this is just a journey, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of yours.
Yeah, and thank you for allowing me to be here. You know, we did this one time before, but um I think the second time it just hit way different, and it
Yeah.
also just acknowledges where we're at now. And um you know, I appreciate this conversation, but also the conversations we have outside of this platform. Like, you are an amazing person, and I already said this, but you motivate me to keep writing. And now that I like we're talking, and we planned out some dates to kind of get together and write alongside each other. I mean, we're unstoppable. Like, I'm unstoppable, you know? So just thank you so much for allowing me to be here in this space.
Thank you. Like, I just want to continue to like be there for you and like fuel you creatively as much as I can. Once again, I'm Daryl,
Yes, and it's your girl Imani Hicks, the creator.
and this has been A Little for the World.
Wow.